Well, there's two ways that I considered going about this movie review. The first one is to sit back, collect my thoughts, write it out, and organize it, make sure I articulate everything that this movie made me think. And then there was the second, much easier route, which was to come straight home from the movie theater, press record, and deposit all of my scattered thoughts and immediate reactions into my SD card, throw it together real quick, and put it on the internet. And thus here we are, the path of least resistance. So, one battle after another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie starring Leonardo Dicaprio and a bunch of other people. The first portion of this movie, the first 45 minutes or so, has this really propulsive momentum to it. It follows Leo DiCaprio and Tiana Taylor as they're part of a huge revolutionary movement and their attempts to kind of change the world through radical behavior. We get a series of events, heists, missions, and things that they go on that are really fascinating and fun to watch. During this entire segment of the film, we also have Sean Penn, who plays Colonel Lockjaw, who is a military adversary of theirs, but has kind of this really strange fascination with Tiana Taylor's character, and her kind of lust for extremist behavior seems to really turn on Sean Penn and his whole thing. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, I'll kind of leave it up to you guys and you can watch this. But a culmination of events happen and these revolutionaries have to disband, change their identities, and disappear, go off the grid. So then we flash forward 16 years later, and Leo DiCaprio is a single parent with his daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity, who is also a massive highlight in this film. And at this point, we really start to get in the groove of the movie. It starts to slow down, and we start to get into our characters a little bit more. Leo DiCaprio is basically just this ultimate, stoner, conspiracy theorist type of character that is really hilarious. He's so overly paranoid and protective over his daughter to the point where they don't have any cell phones. They use these archaic technologies to keep themselves off the grid. But, there's good reason why they're doing it. That being tied in with his overuse of drugs and alcohol. He's just so anxious and hot-wired and emotional and absolutely hilarious. I think he's so funny in this movie. During this current day stuff, Leo DiCaprio and Willa end up getting kind of mixed up in all of this stuff again, and that's really where the movie goes. It's this kind of constant one battle after another, if you will, of this kind of revolutionary mindset and government control. It's a very engaging, thoughtful, big film, but it feels very much like the big films we kind of used to see in Hollywood. I really loved the way that this movie just felt overall. There's this tensity and this energy to the filmmaking that I really love. There's just a lot of use of long lens, which kind of gives this feeling of being spied on, which I think fits the kind of vibe of the government's always watching kind of feel. And then the music is scored by Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead, and I think the music has this just beautiful intensity to it, and it swells, and there's a lot of pieces to this movie that come together and just feel like cinema. It's the kind of movie you should go see in the movie theaters. I just want to say that right out of the gate. This movie balances a lot of really colorful and enigmatic characters. Benicio del Toro as the Taekwondo instructor, who also secretly stores refugees, is one of the best characters in this movie. I don't feel like he gets a ton of screen time, but the chemistry he has with Leo DiCaprio is so funny. The way that they yin and yang with each other. DiCaprio, he just starts getting anxiety, crazy, panic, just freaking out all the time, and Benicio is just so calm, cool, collected, but they'll hop in the car and pop a couple of Modelo's, and start drinking and driving, and just the way that they are together is super funny. And then Sean Penn, he's a pretty despicable or unlikable character, I would say, but there's so much nuance to his portrayal, just the way he kind of walks around and holds himself, and I really liked and was fascinated by the character. I think that we are supposed to at times empathize with a character like Sean Penn, be invested in his journey, and maybe hope for some level of redemption, right? He's still very much like a villain, and he feels like a villain, but your villain should be colored, and you should kind of be able to see their perspective, and the movie does a decent job at that. This movie is very political, I would say. It feels rather timely, honestly, considering recent events in the US. And I was pleased at the way that it depicted the American population as being left, right, conservative, liberal, up, down, everything, and it didn't necessarily try to say one is right or wrong. In fact, it's really quite interesting to see this group of revolutionaries, and when you look at them at the beginning of the film, 16 years prior, and then you compare them to the revolutionaries of like the today, you can even see within that own world how there is different like lingo and almost more conservative kind of mindset that is still a part of like Dicaprio's character and kind of the past, but then like the kind of up-and-coming revolutionaries, in which they still kind of align and agree, feels much more like liberal-minded or left, but they're still very much wanting the same things. That's not trying to say that like the movie is out here saying like, oh, and left and right are the same and they want the same thing. Like I don't think it necessarily does that. It paints a very clear villain group. There's some Christmas labeled organization who specifically want what they consider to be racial purity. That's just white blood through and through. Everyone else, whether they're left or right or this or that, is kind of painted in a way that's like, these are the American people. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like an optimist and I just want world peace and shit like that, and I just want people to love each other. The movie does pivot at one point and just basically says, regardless of your beliefs, racism is fucked. There you go. I guess it does take a stance against one thing, and honestly, I'm here for that kind of a stance. If you're a racist, then just get the fuck off this channel. Stop watching my videos. Like, I don't mind if I lose subscribers because of a sentiment like that. And so if you want to call that political in one way or the other, or if you want to get into the other political intricacies of this, I'm not really equipped to talk about that. I'm not really even here for that. I am a humanist through and through. And this movie, I feel, paints a common enemy as someone who wants to eradicate people. And I'm just not here for that shit. So, if you can get behind that message, then you're going to like the movie. Anyway, yeah, fuck. This movie, for as political as the movie was, I was pleased by how fun, how fast, and how much it focused more on a father-daughter relationship and being an intense thriller first and foremost. I did not feel like this movie was political propaganda, aside from, racists can suck it. But when it came to everything else, it was just, I don't know. It was really good. I really loved it. I loved how it kind of illustrated extremists from any side of the spectrum. But we'll end this on a couple of other positive notes. There's this scene, Benicio and Leo DiCaprio are trying to get the hell out of town. And Benicio has like 4 of his teenager skateboarding karate instructor peers help get Leo out of the city, and they're just running around like the Ninja Turtles on the rooftops as the whole city's like burning, and DiCaprio just like cannot keep up, and eventually he just falls off the roof, and it's just so funny the way that whole scene plays out, the way DiCaprio is just shifting in just like his paranoia, but then he like is running with these refugees and he's like Viva la Revolution, and he's just getting so fired up. But it's just, he's so kind of lost in the mix of everything, and maybe even a little bit misguided and drunk and stoned. Like, it's so funny. Oh yeah, there was a really interesting analogy towards the end of the movie. There's this cool car chase out in like the middle of nowhere, and they're on this open road, and the road is just like doing this, and there's these really cool POV shots as you're following the road, and it feels like you're on a roller coaster. But there's this kind of line about how like the daughter's mother was a witch, and this kind of theme about like racism and just this culty view of like viewing African Americans as witches. They're doing this up and down on the road, and then Johnny Greenwood's music comes in, the score, and it has this like Wicked Witch of the West melody going on, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like they're just painting this basically white supremacist as a pure villain here, and he's taking her away with like the witch music. And I was like, there was so much thoughtful presentation to all of that I really liked. For the climax, it was really intense. There was just some really good filmmaking, and it was really tense. I don't feel like the movie was predictable. It's a journey that just kind of starts and doesn't let you go. I was very happy with this film. Yeah, I really loved it. I feel like I need to see it again. I don't really even feel like figuring out what the hell to rate it at this moment. So I just recommend it, and you should go see it. Ocean Waves, baby. All right, if you like this video, follow me, subscribe, get on my letterbox. You can follow me here and see all the movies I'm watching. But otherwise, thank you for watching the video. I love you, and we'll catch you in the next one.